Imagine giving birth to 3 beautiful babies, only to have your entire life shattered by a single glance. Emma's story begins with love, betrayal, and a secret buried deep in her family's past. What happens next will leave you speechless. Drop a comment and share where you're joining us from. If stories like this resonate with you, hit subscribe so you don't miss our next inspiring journey. The hospital room buzzed with bright lights and hurried movements. Emma's screams of pain echoed as she gripped her husband Adam's hand with all her strength. After hours of labor, the piercing cries of 3 newborns filled the sterile air. Relief washed over Emma as she laid eyes on her babies, tiny, fragile, and perfect. But the joy was fleeting. Adam's face froze. His smile faltered, then vanished entirely as he stared at the infants swaddled in hospital blankets. Their skin was dark, noticeably dark against Emma's pale complexion and Adam's equally fair features. A tense silence settled over the room, heavy and unspoken. What is this?" Adam's voice cracked as he stepped back from the bassinet. His expression twisted into something Emma had never seen before: shock, anger, and something close to disgust. Emma's heart pounded in her chest. "Adam, please. I don't understand," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. But Adam was already stepping away. "They aren't mine," he spat, his voice sharp and venomous. You cheated on me." "Adam, no." Emma's voice broke as she reached out for him. But he recoiled as if her touch burned him. Without another word, Adam turned and stormed out of the hospital room, the door slamming shut behind him. Emma stared after him, clutching the edge of the hospital bed as sobs racked her body. The babies, unaware of the storm brewing around them, whimpered softly in their bassinet. The hours that followed were a blur. The hospital staff offered comforting words, but none of it penetrated the haze of Emma's grief. When she was finally discharged, Emma returned home only to find it stripped bare. Adam had taken everything: furniture, clothes, even the savings from their joint bank account. The house was cold, empty, and unfamiliar. With nowhere else to turn, Emma called her mother, Margaret. Her voice trembled as she explained the situation. And within hours, Margaret arrived, her face lined with worry but her arms wide open. "Come home with me, sweetheart. We'll figure this out together," Margaret said firmly, her voice leaving no room for argument. As Emma settled into the passenger seat of her mother's car, the triplets sleeping soundly in their carriers, she couldn't help but wonder, how did everything go so wrong? And more importantly, what secret was hidden in her children's skin? The small condo felt cramped yet comforting as Emma stepped inside with her mother, Margaret, and her 3 newborns. The living room, filled with neatly arranged furniture and warm lighting, offered a stark contrast to the cold emptiness of the home Adam had abandoned. Margaret gently placed one of the baby carriers on the couch and turned to her daughter. "You're safe here, sweetheart," she said softly, placing a hand on Emma's shoulder. Emma nodded weakly, her eyes red and swollen from days of crying. The weight of her husband's betrayal and the mystery surrounding her children's appearance hung heavy on her shoulders. Each cry from her babies reminded her of how drastically her life had changed. Days blurred into nights as Emma adjusted to her new reality. Sleepless nights became routine, with her balancing feeding, changing diapers, and trying to soothe 3 infants simultaneously. Margaret helped as much as she could, but Emma felt the crushing isolation of single motherhood. When the triplets were finally asleep one evening, Margaret handed Emma a cup of tea and sat beside her on the couch. "Emma, you need to think about the future. You can't live like this forever. Emma stared into her cup, her voice barely above a whisper. How do I even begin again? Mom? I have nothing. No job. No money, nothing. Margaret's voice was firm but kind. You have your children. And you have me. That's not nothing. We'll start small. You'll find a job. And we'll rebuild. With Margaret's encouragement, Emma began applying for jobs. After weeks of searching, she finally secured a position at a local marketing firm. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a start. On her first day at work, Emma met Liam, a warm, easygoing coworker with an infectious smile. He noticed her nervousness and offered her a seat beside him. First days are always the hardest, he said kindly. But you'll do great. For the first time in months, Emma felt a flicker of hope. It wasn't much, but it was enough to keep her going. The faint hum of office chatter filled the air as Emma adjusted to her new role at the marketing firm. Papers stacked neatly on her desk and emails pinged in her inbox. A rhythm she was slowly growing accustomed to. Across the office sat Liam, her warm and easygoing coworker who had quickly become a friendly presence in her life. Liam often stopped by her desk with coffee in hand, offering a quick joke or a listening ear. Emma found herself opening up to him, sharing fragments of her struggles, the sleepless nights, the weight of single motherhood, and the lingering betrayal that clung to her like a shadow. One late afternoon, while Emma was gathering her things to leave, her phone buzzed with a notification from her bank. Her heart dropped as she read the message. Her joint bank account with Adam was now completely empty. Confusion quickly gave way to dread. Adam had drained every last cent. Emma's hands trembled as she stared at the screen. Liam, noticing her pale face as she sank into her chair, approached cautiously. Hey, Emma, are you okay? He asked. Concern etched across his face. She handed him her phone, unable to form the words. After a brief silence, Liam spoke gently. This isn't fair. You need to report this to the authorities. The idea of pursuing Adam legally filled Emma with anxiety. But Liam's calm reassurance gave her strength. That evening, with Margaret's support and Liam's encouragement, Emma filed a police report. But Adam was already gone, his tracks covered, his whereabouts unknown. In the weeks that followed, Emma juggled work, motherhood, and mounting financial stress. Liam stepped in to help wherever he could. He dropped by with groceries, helped fix a leaky faucet in Margaret's condo, and even entertained the triplets with silly impressions that made them squeal with laughter. One quiet evening, after Margaret had taken the triplets to bed, Emma and Liam sat on the living room couch. The warm glow of a table lamp bathed the room in soft light. Thank you, Liam, Emma said softly. I don't know what I'd do without your help. Liam smiled but said nothing. His eyes filled with unspoken understanding. In that moment, Emma realized that Liam wasn't just a kind coworker, he was becoming an essential part of her life. And despite the chaos and uncertainty that surrounded her, for the first time in a long while, Emma felt a flicker of safety and trust. 5 years had passed since Adam walked out of Emma's life, leaving her to rebuild from the ground up. With Margaret's unwavering support and Liam's steady presence, Emma had managed to create a stable and loving home for her triplets, Noah, Mia, and Leo. The children were now lively, curious, and full of laughter, their energy filling every corner of Margaret's condo. Life wasn't perfect, but it was peaceful until the day an envelope arrived. Emma found it tucked under her windshield wiper as she left work. The paper was creased, the handwriting sharp and angry. Her hands shook as she unfolded the note. You think you can just start over? You ruined my life. Emma. Now I'm coming to ruin yours. Emma's breath hitched, and she scanned the empty parking lot, her stomach twisting with dread. She rushed home, locking the doors and windows before calling Margaret and Liam. Margaret's voice trembled as she spoke. It's him, isn't it? Adam. Liam arrived shortly after, his face set in a hard line. Emma. We have to report this to the police. The authorities took her statement, but there was little they could do. The note had no fingerprints, no clues, and Adam's whereabouts remained a mystery. The following weeks were filled with paranoia. Emma jumped at every noise, flinched at every knock on the door. The once safe condo now felt like a fragile shelter, easily breached. Then, the second message arrived, a small cardboard box left on their doorstep. Inside was a dead rat, stiff and lifeless, with a note pinned to its side. This is just a taste of what's to come. Emma broke down in Liam's arms as Margaret took the children to another room. Fear clawed at her chest, and exhaustion blurred her thoughts. We can't stay here, Liam said firmly that night. This isn't safe anymore. Emma, you need to think about leaving. Margaret nodded in agreement. A fresh start. Somewhere far away from here. Emma hesitated. The condo had been their sanctuary, a place where she had pieced her life back together. But as she glanced at her sleeping children, she knew Liam and Margaret were right. We'll go, she whispered, her voice resolute despite the tears brimming in her eyes. We'll leave. Liam reached across the table and took her hand. Wherever you go, Emma, I'll be there to help you. For the first time in weeks, Emma felt a glimmer of hope piercing through the oppressive darkness. They had a plan, a way out. And no matter how deep Adam's threats ran, she wouldn't let fear dictate their lives. The city skyline stretched out before Emma as she gazed through the window of their new apartment. The faint hum of traffic below mixed with the soft giggles of her triplets, Noah, Mia, and Leo, playing on the living room floor. It was smaller than Margaret's condo, but it was theirs. A fresh start. Margaret had joined them, determined to continue supporting her daughter and grandchildren. Liam, true to his word, had followed them to the new city. He helped carry boxes up the narrow stairs, assembled furniture, and made sure the triplets had their favorite stuffed animals ready for bedtime. The weight of Adam's threats still lingered, but distance brought a fragile sense of security. Emma found a new job at a local community center, balancing office tasks with moments of helping organize events for families. It was fulfilling work, and for the first time in years, Emma felt a semblance of normalcy. Liam continued to be a constant presence. He would stop by with dinner after long shifts at his own job and share quiet moments with Emma on the small balcony after the children had gone to bed. Their conversations often drifted from light-hearted jokes to deeper reflections about the past and the future. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Liam handed Emma a small potted plant. For new beginnings, he said with a soft smile. Emma's throat tightened with emotion as she accepted the gift. Thank you, Liam, for everything. His smile lingered as he looked at her. You don't have to thank me, Emma. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. The warmth of his words settled deep in her chest. But Emma pushed away the thoughts of what they might mean. Right now, it was enough to have stability. To watch her children grow in a place where fear didn't cloud every corner. For the first time in a long while, Emma allowed herself to breathe, to truly believe that they could build something beautiful from the wreckage of their past. The sun bathed the small apartment in golden light as balloons bobbed gently in the living room. Noah, Mia, and Leo raced around, their laughter filling every corner as Margaret set out a colorful birthday cake on the dining table. 10 years. A decade had passed since Emma's life had been torn apart. Yet today was about celebration, a milestone for her children and a testament to her resilience. Liam was by her side, helping hang the last of the decorations. His easy smile and steady presence had become the backbone of Emma's world. As guests began to arrive, Emma felt a warmth in her chest. They had built something here, something steady, something safe. But safety is often an illusion. In the middle of the party, as the children sang and candles were blown out, a sharp knock echoed from the front door. The room fell silent. Emma hesitated, her heart thundering in her chest. Liam caught her eye, his expression a mix of caution and readiness. Emma opened the door, and there he stood, Adam. His once proud frame was slouched, his hair graying at the edges, and his eyes hollow with regret and exhaustion. "Emma," he croaked, his voice barely above a whisper. Gasps rippled through the room. Margaret pulled the triplets into the kitchen, shielding them from the tension crackling in the air. Liam stepped closer, his protective stance unmissable. "I didn't come to cause trouble," Adam said, raising his hands in surrender. I need to tell you the truth." Emma's voice was steady but sharp. "You lost the right to speak your truth years ago." But Adam pressed on. "My mother, she told me something before she died. She confessed she had an affair with a black man. The triplets, their skin. It wasn't because of you, Emma. It was because of me. My family's past." The revelation hung heavy in the air. Emma's mind raced, her chest tight with years of anger and confusion finally snapping into place. But the truth didn't erase the damage. "You abandoned us," Emma said, her voice trembling. "You let your hate and pride destroy everything." Adam's shoulders sagged, but Emma didn't waver. "Leave, Adam. You don't belong here." Liam stepped forward, closing the door behind Adam as he disappeared into the hallway. The party was over, but a new chapter had begun, one where Emma no longer carried the weight of Adam's accusations. And the truth, though painful, had finally been set free. The door clicked shut, and the silence that followed felt deafening. Emma leaned against the wall, her breath shaky as Liam placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. In the kitchen, Margaret quietly comforted Noah, Mia, and Leo, keeping their curious eyes away from the tension that had gripped their home. Emma sank into the couch, her head in her hands. The weight of Adam's words hung heavy in the air, the revelation about his mother's affair unraveling a decade of questions and pain. Liam sat beside her, his voice soft but steady. "Emma, it's over now," he said his piece. "And he's gone." But Emma shook her head. "No, Liam, it's not over. Not until I confront the truth, not just for me, but for my children." Later that evening, Margaret took the triplets to her room, and Emma sat down with Liam at the dining table. Her voice trembled but carried a quiet strength. "Adam might have given me answers, but it doesn't erase what he did. The abandonment, the threats, the fear he forced on us, it doesn't just disappear because he's sorry." Liam nodded, his expression firm. "You're right. But you're here now. Emma, you survived all of it. And your children, they've thrived because of you." Emma exhaled slowly, her mind racing with years of buried anger and confusion. "I need to make sure he can't hurt us anymore. I'm calling the police." The call was brief but decisive. Emma reported the years of harassment, the financial theft, and the threats that had haunted their lives. This time, the police listened, Days passed, and the authorities tracked Adam down. His face appeared on the local news, arrested, facing charges for financial fraud, harassment, and intimidation. When Emma received the confirmation call from the police, she stood frozen in the middle of her living room. Liam was by her side, his hand steadying hers. Margaret watched from the doorway, her eyes glistening with pride. Emma spoke softly, her voice resolute. "It's over." That night, Emma tucked her children into bed, kissing each of their foreheads. For the first time in years, she felt something she hadn't dared to believe in: peace. Liam joined her on the balcony, the city lights stretching out before them. "You did it, Emma. You faced it all." Emma turned to him, her eyes reflecting the glow of the city. "No, Liam. We did it." The weight of the past had been lifted, and for the first time, the future felt like a promise rather than a threat. The morning sun poured through the curtains, casting golden light across the small apartment. The sound of laughter echoed from the kitchen as Noah, Mia, and Leo helped Margaret prepare breakfast. The scent of pancakes and fresh coffee filled the air, wrapping the home in a warmth Emma hadn't felt in years. Emma stood on the balcony, the cool breeze brushing against her face. Liam joined her, two steaming mugs of coffee in hand. They stood in silence for a moment, watching the city below come to life. "Feels different, doesn't it?" Liam said softly. Emma nodded, a small smile tugging at her lips. "It feels peaceful." The weight of the past had finally lifted. Adam was behind bars, and the fear that had gripped Emma's heart for so long was gone. Her children were safe, thriving in school and surrounded by love. Margaret had become their steadfast guardian angel. And Liam had become something Emma never thought she'd have again: a partner. Inside, the triplets' laughter rang out as they playfully argued over who would get the first pancake. Emma turned to Liam, her voice steady yet tender. "We built this, Liam. Together." Liam smiled, his eyes warm with affection. "And we'll keep building it, Emma, one day at a time." As they stepped back into the apartment, the chaos of breakfast greeted them: syrup-covered hands, giggles, and Margaret trying to maintain order. Emma couldn't help but laugh. For the first time in years, the future felt open, bright, and full of promise. No longer shadowed by fear or regret, Emma and her family were free to embrace the life they had fought so hard to rebuild. This was their story, a story of resilience, love, and the unyielding strength of a mother who refused to give up.
From betrayal to redemption, Emma's story proves that even the darkest paths can lead to light. What part of her journey resonated most with you? Share your thoughts and this story with others. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.